וכולם מקבלים עליהם, ומלכות שמיים. וכולם מקבלים עליהם, ומלכות שמיים. וכולם מקבלים עליהם, ומלכות שמיים. ומלכות שמיים. וכולם מקבלים עליהם, ומלכות
Shalom! It's time once again for the Hebrew lesson. Talmidim, Baruchim Habaim. Welcome, students. Open your lesson book, search the Sidra, to lesson number 22. The name of our Torah portion is pronounced Vayek'hel, and it means and assembled. It comes from Exodus chapter 35, verse 1. You are already familiar with most of the vocabulary listed on the right-hand column of our first page. As we read through the vocabulary together, jump in when you can and pronounce all the words that you've already memorized. After we're done reading the vocabulary, we will learn a new pronoun suffix today. And following that, we will answer challenge teachings number 2 and number 4. So let's begin with vocabulary. Are you ready to read? Yofi. Great. Let's begin. The first vocabulary word, the name of our Torah portion, is pronounced Vayek'hel. Next we have the name Moshe. To all the congregation in Hebrew is translated Et Kol Adat. Next we have Bnei Yisrael, the sons of Israel. I'm sure you're more than familiar with that already. The following word, Vayomer, means and said. Usually we see this word written as lamor, to say or to speak. Here, with a vav in front of it, vayamor, it means and said. Alehem means unto them. Ele hadavarim, these are the words. Asher tzivah, that commanded. Did you notice the root in tzivah, the tzadik vav? Command. Next we have the personal name of God, which we pronounce Adonai. And the last line, la'asot otam, to do them. Are you ready to learn something new? Mashu chadash? If you are, look with me at challenge teaching number 2. It asks the question, which two words above indicate them? Okay, them is going to be indicated by a suffix, similar to the way that yud vav, av means his, or the Hebrew letter vav sounding as o also means his. In this instance, we have two examples of suffixes that indicate them. The first one is in the 6th line. It's 2 lines down from the words Bnei Yisrael. The Hebrew word is alehem. Alehem literally means to them. We've already learned that the Hebrew word aleph lamed el means to. Most often when you see the Hebrew letters hey mem sofit pronounced as hem, it will mean them in plural form. Alehem means to them. The second form of the suffix that means them is found in our last line. The words read la'asot otam. The tav mem sofit means them. If you're keeping lists of all your vocabulary words, your roots, and your prefixes and suffixes for memory, add the suffixes hem and tam to your list. They both mean them in plural masculine form. So in order to answer challenge teaching number 2, which two words above indicate them, we have learned alehem indicates unto them, and otam indicates them. And how do they end? They end with a hey mem sofit or a tav mem sofit. Before we try to find the verse of our Torah portion in the left-hand page, let's look quickly at challenge teaching number 4. It says a Jewish congregation may be called a kehilah, and it asks us which word above comes from the same root. Kehilah. Listen to the word kehilah. Can you take a guess at the spelling of the Hebrew root for the word kehilah? If you guessed kuf, hey, lamed, you're correct. And the name of our Torah portion this week is Vayek'hel, which means and assembled. Therefore, a kehilah is literally an assembly. Continuing on with challenge teaching number 4, in Genesis 35, verse 11, Jacob was promised a kahal amim. How would you translate this promise? Okay, it's time for us to do some decoding and figure out what these two words mean. Kahal has the same root as kehilah and Vayek'hel. Therefore, a kahal is an assembly or a congregation. Next, we have the Hebrew word amim. Do you notice a plural ending on the word amim? If you guessed Yud Mem Sofit, you're exactly right. The Hebrew word am means nation. Therefore, amim would be the plural form nations. A kahal amim is an assembly of nations or an assembly of people. Okay, as we close, let's look at the left-hand side of the page in our Torah scroll. Where are we going to find Exodus 35 verse 1 in our Torah this week? What's the clue? Look for paragraph breaks. After the first paragraph break, we find the very first word of our Torah portion, Vayek'hel. Let's read it together, and if you can't read it, that's okay, but follow along. Vayek'hel Moshe et kol edat b'nei Yisrael vayomer aleihem. Ele hadvarim asher tziva Adonai la'asot otam. Were you able to keep up? Metsuyan! Excellent! I knew you could. Don't forget, do your homework, your shiurei bayit. And until next week, Litraot!